My mother smiled when she ruined my life, and she thought I didn't notice. I remember the exact moment. Her hand rested on my shoulder, warm, gentle, almost loving. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," she said, pressing the envelope into my hand. I smiled back, not because I was happy, but because I was already watching her. That smile, it didn't reach her eyes. And that's when I knew something was wrong. Inside the envelope was a luxury resort booking confirmation. 5 days. Ocean view. Private suite. Everything looked perfect. Too perfect. My mom wasn't the type to spend like that. Not even on herself. So why now? Why me? "Mom, this is too much," I said softly. She laughed, loud, exaggerated. "Oh, please. My daughter deserves the best. You've been through so much." That line. "You've been through so much." She said it like she was proud of it, like she caused it. I didn't react. I never react too early. Instead, I hugged her tight and whispered, "Thank you." Because sometimes the best revenge starts with gratitude. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my room, scrolling through the booking confirmation, checking details, dates, location, payment method. Everything was clean. Too clean. And then I noticed something. The payment ID. It wasn't from her account. It was from a trust account. My trust account. My chest tightened. Not panic. Not fear. Just clarity. That trust fund was sealed. Locked legally until I turned 25. No one could touch it. Not even her. Unless someone had already broken the seal. I didn't cry. That's the thing about pain. When it becomes familiar, it stops being loud. It becomes quiet, cold, precise. The next morning, she was making breakfast like nothing happened. Humming, smiling, acting like a perfect mother. I watched her from the doorway. "Excited for your trip?" she asked. I nodded. "I am." And I meant it, just not for the reasons she thought. I packed slowly, carefully. Not just clothes, documents, a second phone, a small recorder, and something she didn't expect, patience. The resort was exactly like the photos. White marble floors, infinity pool, oceans stretching endlessly. Luxury. But something felt off. Not the place. The people. I noticed her behavior immediately. She wasn't relaxed. She was performing. Posting photos, laughing louder than necessary, constantly checking her phone. Like she was trying to prove something. To someone, or maybe to herself. That night, at dinner, she raised her glass. "To my beautiful daughter," she said, smiling at me. People around us clapped. I smiled back, but I didn't drink. I never drink when I'm watching. Then she said something small, but it changed everything. "I'm so proud of everything we've built together." We, not you. We. That word felt like theft. Later that night, I couldn't ignore it anymore. I accessed my trust fund portal, the one I wasn't supposed to access yet. I had tried before just out of curiosity. It was always locked, but this time, it opened. My hands didn't shake. They went still, because what I saw was worse than I expected. The balance was 0. Not reduced. Not partially used. Empty. Clean. Like it never existed. But the transaction history, that's where she made her mistake. Every withdrawal, every transfer, every expense led back to her. Luxury items, resort bookings, private events, and something else, something she thought I wouldn't understand. Shell accounts, layered transfers, hidden paths. She didn't just take my money. She planned it. I closed the app, slowly, quietly. Then I smiled, not out of happiness, but because now the game had rules. The next morning, I acted normal. Too normal. I laughed at her jokes, took pictures with her, even posted one. Caption: Best birthday ever, red heart. She loved it. Of course she did, because she thought she was winning. But here's the thing about people like her. They don't just steal. They celebrate the theft. That afternoon, she went shopping. Expensive boutiques, designer bags, jewelry, all paid through those same accounts. I didn't stop her. I encouraged her. Mom, you should get that one, I said, pointing at a necklace. She hesitated. It's a bit much. I smiled. You deserve it. And just like that, she added another charge, another trace, another piece of evidence. That's how you dismantle someone. You don't stop them. You guide them. That night, she fell asleep early, exhausted, satisfied. I stayed awake, connecting dots, mapping transactions, recording timestamps, saving everything. By morning, I had a full timeline, not just of the theft, but of her confidence, her arrogance, her belief that she was untouchable. And that's when I decided I wouldn't confront her. Not yet. Because confrontation ends the game. And I wasn't done playing. On the third day, she got a call. I watched her face change. Just slightly. A flicker. Fear. Everything okay? I asked gently. She forced a smile. Yeah, just some bank stuff. Bank stuff. I nodded. Need help? No, she said quickly. Too quickly. Interesting. That night, I made my first move. Not big. Not loud. Just, I contacted a legal firm. Quietly. Anonymously. And I sent them everything. Transactions. Access logs. Evidence of unauthorized withdrawals. I didn't sign my name. I didn't accuse her directly. I just lit the match. The next day, she got another call. Longer this time. More serious. Her hands trembled slightly, but she still smiled at me. Still played the role. I admired that. Honestly, it takes strength to pretend like that. But strength without control is just delay. That evening, at dinner, she raised her glass again. To new beginnings, she said. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just distance. I raised my glass too, to new beginnings. Because she was right. This was the start of something new. She just didn't realize. It wasn't for her. The next morning, everything changed. She woke me up early. Her voice different. Tight. Controlled. Sweetheart, we need to talk. I sat up slowly. About what? She hesitated. Just for a second. Then she said it. There's been a misunderstanding with the bank. I blinked. Confused. Innocent. What kind of misunderstanding? She sat on the edge of the bed, avoiding my eyes. They're saying there's an investigation. I tilted my head. Investigation. She nodded. Yes, something about unauthorized transactions. I let the silence stretch. Long. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Then I whispered, For my trust fund? Her head snapped up. Shock. Pure. unfiltered. And in that moment, I saw it. She didn't know how much I knew, and that was everything. I smiled, softly, calmly. Mom, I said quietly, how could that happen? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. And for the first time, I saw fear replace her confidence. But I wasn't done, not even close. Because what she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that the money she thought she stole, the one she spent so freely, the one she celebrated, was never the real target. It was just bait. And now, she had already taken it, exactly as I wanted. She thought the investigation was the problem. It wasn't. It was just the door. And she had already walked through it. I didn't rush to answer her. Silence always makes people confess faster than questions. She kept staring at me, searching my face, trying to read something, anything, but I gave her nothing, just soft eyes and concern, the kind a daughter should have. I don't know, she said finally, her voice tight. These things happen sometimes. Banks make mistakes. Mistakes. That word again. She loved hiding behind it. I nodded slowly. Should we call them? I asked. Simple. Dangerous. Her reaction was immediate. No. Too fast. Too sharp. Then she softened her tone. I mean, I'll handle it. You don't need to stress about this, okay? There it was. Control. She still thought she was in charge. I smiled. Okay. And just like that, she relaxed. Because she believed me. Because she needed to believe me. We spent the rest of the day pretending, walking along the beach, taking pictures, laughing at nothing. To anyone watching, we looked perfect. A loving mother. A grateful daughter. But inside, I was counting every minute, every reaction, every crack forming under her skin. That night, she didn't sleep. I could hear her pacing. Phone calls, whispers, frustration. At one point, I heard her say, "No, that's not possible." I closed that trail. I smiled in the dark, because that trail was never hers to close. By morning, she looked different, still polished, still controlled, but tired. And fear. Fear doesn't hide well under makeup. Breakfast, she asked. I nodded. Of course. We sat across from each other, coffee between us, silence filling the space. Then she leaned in slightly. Have you accessed your trust account recently? There it was. Phishing. I shook my head. No. I thought it was sealed. Her eyes studied mine. Long. Careful. Then she smiled. Right, it is. But her fingers tightened around her cup. She was starting to realize something. She wasn't the only one playing. Later that day, she disappeared for hours. No explanation. No message. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Because I already knew what she was doing. Trying to fix it. Trying to cover it. Trying to run ahead of something she couldn't even see yet. That evening, she came back quieter. Less confident. More cautious. Everything okay? I asked gently. She nodded. Yes, just sorting things out. Sorting. Another favorite word. I leaned back, watching her. Mom. She froze. Just slightly. Yes. I smiled softly. You've always been so good with money. Her shoulders relaxed. Pride. That was her weakness. I try, she said, almost smiling. I tilted my head. Better than Dad ever was. That one hit.
I saw it.
A flicker of something darker. Your father didn't understand how to manage assets, she said coldly. Assets. Not family. Not future. Assets. I nodded slowly. You taught me a lot. And that wasn't a lie.
She did.
Just not the way she thought. That night, I made my second move. Not through lawyers. Not through banks. Through people. I contacted someone she trusted. An old associate of hers. Someone who handled complex transactions. I didn't accuse her. I didn't expose anything. I just asked a question.
Carefully. Specifically.
Have you noticed any unusual activity linked to her accounts? Then I waited. The response came faster than I expected. Yes. Just one word, but it was enough. Because now, it wasn't just me. The pressure was building from all sides, and she could feel it, even if she didn't understand it yet. The next morning, everything shifted again. She didn't wake me up. She didn't smile. She didn't pretend. She sat at the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. I opened my eyes slowly. Mom.
She turned to me.
And for the first time, I saw something real. Not control. Not manipulation.
Fear.
There's a problem, she said quietly. I sat up. What kind of problem? She hesitated. Longer this time. Then she said something that almost made me laugh. The funds, they're not where they're supposed to be. Not where they're supposed to be. I looked at her, confused, innocent. But you said everything was fine. She swallowed. I thought it was. I let the silence stretch again. Then I asked, softly, how much is missing? She didn't answer immediately, because saying it out loud would make it real. Everything, she whispered. Everything. I nodded slowly.
Processing.
Absorbing.
Acting.
That's a lot, I said. She laughed. But it wasn't real. It was broken. You have no idea.
Oh.
But I did. More than she could ever imagine. Because what she still didn't understand, what she was desperately trying to fix, was already beyond her control. That afternoon, we checked out of the resort early. No more pictures. No more pretending. The drive back was silent. Heavy. She kept checking her phone. Every few minutes. Waiting. For something. Anything. But nothing came. Because the storm doesn't warn you when you're already inside it. When we got home, she went straight to her office, locked the door. I didn't follow. Instead, I sat in the living room,
Calm.
still, and I waited. Hours passed.
Then a sound.
Not loud, not dramatic, just a small, shattered breath, the kind that breaks quietly. She came out slowly, phone in her hand, face pale. They froze everything, she said. I looked up, concerned. Everything. She nodded. All accounts, all linked assets, everything. I stood up slowly, walked closer. Why? She stared at me.
Lost.
They said, there's an ongoing investigation. Investigation. I placed a hand on her arm, gentle, supportive. We'll figure it out, I said softly. She looked at me, really looked at me, and for a second, I thought she knew. But then, she broke. I don't understand, she whispered. I covered everything. I made sure there were no traces. No traces. I felt something shift inside me. Not anger, not satisfaction, just confirmation. She said it herself. I didn't need proof anymore. I had her truth, and she gave it to me without even realizing. But this was still just the beginning, because what she thought was gone, what she believed was lost, was never actually stolen. It was redirected,
Carefully.
quietly, and the place it went was something she would never suspect, something she had signed herself, months ago, without reading the fine print. I looked at her, broken, confused, scared, and I almost felt sorry. Almost. Because she taught me something important. Never trust words, only actions. And her actions had already sealed her fate. She just didn't know it yet.
But she was about to.
Very soon. Because the next call, the one she was dreading, wasn't from the bank. It wasn't from her lawyer. It was from someone else. Someone official. And when she hears that voice, everything she built, every lie she told, every move she made, will collapse in a single moment. I leaned closer to her, just enough for her to feel safe, and whispered softly, "It's going to be okay, Mom." Because sometimes the cruelest thing you can give someone is hope. She kept saying she didn't understand, but that wasn't true. She understood enough to be afraid. The house felt different that night. Not quieter, heavier, like every wall had started listening.
She didn't eat.
Didn't change, didn't even take off her shoes. Just sat there staring at her phone, waiting for it to ring. I sat across from her,
Calm.
present, invisible. "Maybe it's just a routine check," I said softly. She looked at me like I was a stranger. "Routine," she whispered. "They don't freeze everything for routine." I nodded slowly, letting her correct me, letting her feel smarter. Because people reveal more when they think they're leading. Minutes passed, then an hour, then 2, and then
Her phone rang.
she froze, didn't move, didn't breathe. I leaned back slightly. "Answer it," I said gently. She swallowed, picked it up. "Hello." Silence. Then her face changed. Not panic, not shock. Recognition. "Yes, this is she said, voice tightening. I watched every micro-expression, every twitch, every fracture forming beneath her skin. "Yes, I'm aware of the account," she continued.
Pause.
"No, that's not correct," she said quickly. Too quickly. Another pause. Longer this time. Her eyes slowly shifted toward me. I didn't move, didn't react, just watched her, like she had watched me my entire life. "I'd prefer to discuss this with my attorney," she said finally.
Click.
The room went silent again, but not the same silence. This one had weight. "What did they say?" I asked.
Soft.
Careful. She didn't answer immediately. She stood up instead, started pacing. "They're escalating it," she said finally. "Escalating." She nodded. "They're saying the transfers triggered something, an internal flag, and now it's been handed over." Handed over. I tilted my head. "To who?" She stopped walking, turned slowly, and for the first time, she hesitated to lie. "Authorities," she whispered. There it was, the word she was avoiding, the reality she couldn't escape. I let my expression soften.
Concern. Fear.
Confusion. Everything she expected from a daughter. "That sounds serious," I said quietly. She laughed. but it came out broken. It is. Then she looked at me, really looked, searching again. Did you tell anyone about your trust fund? She asked. Careful, very careful. I blinked. No. Why would I? She held my gaze, longer than before, and then she nodded, but something inside her shifted. I could see it.
A doubt. Small.
But growing. She wasn't just afraid of the situation anymore. She was starting to question
Me. Good.
That night, she locked herself in her office again. I didn't need to hear her calls. I already knew the script. Desperation. Control. Damage control. But here's the thing about damage. Once it spreads through multiple systems, it stops being something you can fix. It becomes something you survive. Or don't. Around midnight, I made my third move. The quietest one. I logged into the account she thought she controlled. The one she used for her layered transfers. She was good, careful,
Smart.
but not patient. She created patterns, small ones, hidden ones, but patterns always exist. And patterns are predictable. I didn't take anything. I didn't move funds. I just mirrored them. Every transaction she made, I replicated,
Delayed.
redirected. Not enough to be noticed immediately, but enough to create confusion. Because confusion is louder than accusation. By morning, she was already unraveling. I found her at the kitchen table, coffee untouched, eyes hollow. They're auditing everything, she said without looking up. I sat down across from her. Everything. She nodded. All accounts, all connections, even the closed ones. Closed ones. I almost smiled. Can they do that? I asked softly. She laughed again. That same broken sound. They can do whatever they want when they suspect fraud.
Fraud.
She said it.
Not me.
I leaned forward slightly. What happens if they find something? She looked at me, and this time, there was no mask. Then I lose everything, she said. Everything. I let that word sit between us. Heavy. Unavoidable. I'm sure it won't come to that, I whispered. But she didn't respond, because deep down, she knew. Later that day, another call came. This one was different. Shorter. Colder. More direct.
She didn't argue.
Didn't interrupt. Didn't even try to explain. She just listened. And when she hung up, her hands were shaking. They want me to come in, she said. Come in? For questioning. I nodded slowly.
Processing.
Will you go? She hesitated, then nodded. I have to.
Of course she did.
Because running only works when no one is watching. And now, everyone was watching. That evening, she started preparing documents, files, old records. I watched her from the doorway. Do you need help? I asked. She shook her head. No, I just need to think.
Think.
Too late for that.
She paused.
Then looked at me again.
Long.
Careful. You trust me, right? She asked. That question. I smiled.
Soft.
Gentle. Of course I do, Mom. And I meant it. I trusted her to do exactly what she always did. Put herself first. That night, I didn't sleep again. Not because I was worried, but because I was waiting. Because tomorrow, everything would shift. Not slowly, not subtly, all at once. She left early, dressed perfectly, controlled,
Composed.
like she could still win this. Before she walked out,
She turned to me.
"I'll fix this," she said. I nodded. "I know." And I did. She would fix it, just not in the way she expected. The door closed behind her, and the house finally felt quiet. I walked slowly to her office, sat in her chair, opened her laptop. Everything was already there, waiting, because while she was preparing to defend herself, I had already written the ending. And it wasn't about money anymore. It was about truth. And truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs the right moment. I looked at the screen, at the final file, the one she had signed months ago, without reading. My name, her signature, and one clause, buried deep enough to be ignored. A clause that didn't just protect the trust fund. It redirected ownership, under specific conditions. Conditions she had already triggered. Without realizing, I leaned back in her chair, closed my eyes, and whispered softly, "You taught me well, Mom." Because sometimes the smartest move is letting someone destroy themselves, using your rules. My phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. I opened it and froze. Because it wasn't from the bank. It wasn't from the lawyers. It was from someone else. Someone who should not have known anything. A single line. "You're not the only one who knows what she did." My heartbeat slowed. Not faster. Slower. Because this wasn't part of the plan. And for the first time, the game changed. My heartbeat didn't spike. It slowed. Because panic makes you predictable. And I refuse to be predictable. I read the message again. "You're not the only one who knows what she did." No name. No number saved. No context. Just presence. I didn't reply. That's rule 1. Never acknowledge an unknown player too early. Instead, I placed the phone face down and smiled, because now this wasn't just revenge. It was a game, and games, I don't lose. Hours passed. No second message. No call. Nothing. Which meant one thing. They were watching, waiting for my move.
Good.
Let them wait. By afternoon, my mother called. Her voice was different. Not broken this time. Controlled. Too controlled. "I need you to come down here," she said. I leaned back in her chair. "Where exactly?" A pause. Then, the Financial Crimes Office. I almost laughed, but I didn't. "Why me?" I asked softly. Another pause. Longer. Heavier. "I want to confirm some details about the trust." "Of course they do." "I'll be there," I said, and hung up. I didn't rush. I never rush. I changed slowly, chose neutral colors, soft face, no emotion, because perception is everything. When I arrived, she was already there, sitting straight, hands folded, eyes alert. And for the first time in my life, she looked small. She saw me and smiled. That same fake smile. But now, it was cracking. "Sweetheart," she said, standing quickly. "You didn't have to come." "I wanted to," I said. That stopped her. Inside, the room was cold, clinical. No warmth, no comfort. Just truth. Waiting. A man sat across from us.
Calm.
Observant. "We'll keep this simple," he said. He didn't look at her first.
He looked at me.
Can you confirm this trust belongs to you? I nodded. Yes. And that it was sealed under legal protection? Yes. He glanced at her, then back at me. Did you authorize any withdrawals? Silence. My mother's breathing shifted, just slightly. I could feel her eyes on me,
Burning.
waiting, praying. I looked at the man.
Calm. Clear.
No. That one word felt like a blade. My mother flinched.
Barely. But I saw it.
Then the man placed a file on the table. Then we have a problem, he said. Page after page. Transactions. Transfers. Signatures. Her signatures. And then the final page. The clause. He slid it toward me. Can you explain this? I looked down, pretending to read, pretending to discover. But inside, I was watching her. Because this was the moment. Her eyes scanned the page. Faster, faster. Then they stopped. Frozen. No, she whispered. There it was. The clause she ignored. The one she signed months ago. If any unauthorized access is detected, the man read calmly. Full asset control is automatically transferred to the beneficiary under protective audit protocol. He closed the file, which means I lifted my gaze slowly. The money was never lost. Silence. My mother stared at me, not angry, not yet, just realizing. Redirected, I added softly. Her lips parted, but nothing came out, because now she understood. Everything she took, every dollar she spent, every transaction she made was tracked,
Contained.
recorded, not stolen, used to expose her. You, she whispered. I held her gaze,
Calm.
unshaken. You taught me to read before I sign, I said quietly. That broke her, not loudly, not dramatically, just internally. The man stood. We'll proceed with formal charges. Charges. The word echoed in the room. My mother didn't move, didn't argue, didn't fight, because for the first time, she had no move left. As they escorted her out, she turned to me, and in her eyes, I saw it. Not guilt, not regret, but betrayal. Like I was the one who did something wrong. I almost smiled. Almost. Days passed. Everything unraveled. Public records. Frozen assets. Legal notices. Her name everywhere. The woman who managed everything perfectly, now exposed. And me? I stayed silent. No interviews, no statements, no emotion, because power is quiet. But the message, that message, it didn't go away. Another one came, 3 days later. You played her well. I stared at it. Still no name. Still no identity. But this time, I replied, Who are you? The answer came instantly. Someone who made sure the clause existed. My fingers paused, because that was impossible. Only 2 people knew about that clause.
Me.
And my father. The one she said didn't understand assets. The one she erased from every conversation. The one who supposedly had no role in anything. I typed slowly. You're lying. A pause. Then,
No.
another message. She didn't just steal from you. My breath slowed again. What do you mean? This time, the reply took longer, like they were choosing their words carefully. Check the original trust file. I didn't hesitate. I went back, opened the archive, scrolled deeper, further than I had before. And then I found it. A second document, hidden, older, signed before everything else. My eyes moved across the page, line by line, and then they stopped. Because the truth was worse than anything I expected. The trust fund was never mine. It was his, my father's. And the clause, the one that saved me, was never meant to protect me. It was meant to protect the money from her, even before she touched it, which meant he knew exactly what she would do, and he prepared for it. Years ago, I sat back slowly. Everything shifted. Again. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was inheritance.
War.
Legacy. My phone buzzed one last time. Now you understand. I stared at the screen. Who are you? I typed again. This time,
There was no reply.
just silence. The same silence I used on her. I looked around the empty house. Not empty anymore. Full of answers. And questions. Because if he knew, if he planned all of this, then one thing became very clear. I was never the only player in this game. And somewhere, someone else, was still watching. I smiled softly. Because this time, I wasn't afraid. I was ready.